There's a verse in the Bible that says, this is what the Lord says. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient path. Ask for the good way and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. We're walking the ancient paths and lands of the Bible. We're looking for secrets along the way that can give us that rest for our souls. But these secrets aren't hidden at all. They're actually in plain view. So come with us as we walk the ancient paths and find truth for living for today. The genius of Alexander the Great is often told in the history books that deals with his military prowess. But you could also say the genius of Alexander the Great dealt in cities like Beit Shean. This was part of the Decapolis. Alexander never forced the people he conquered to adopt the Greek style of life. He simply invited them to it. He would build cities like this with stadiums and bathhouses and gymnasiums. There would be statues here, some of them pretty explicit. You could eat anything you want. You could do anything you want. And in the gymnasium, in the place of education, you would see and hear things that simply contradicted the Bible. It wasn't God who was in charge of all things. Man was the highest of all elevated beings. It was a different world. The rabbis had another word for it. They called it a far country. Beit Shean was the only city of the Decapolis Alexander built on the western side of the Jordan River. This city of great temptation was directly in the path of everyone who heard one of the most famous stories Jesus ever told. And that brings me to a story that Jesus once told. A man had two sons. One of them was younger, and he demanded his inheritance early. It's quite the insult. Jesus said he went to a far country and there squandered his wealth in wild living. Beit Shean might not have been the place that people envisioned in that parable, but Beit Shean is like a lot of the cities of Decapolis. It wasn't very far away. If he really wanted to be in a place that was all wrong, well, he could have been there by nightfall. It seems to me the wrong place is never really that far away. In warning people about the dangers of temptation, Jesus may have used part of this city for one of his most famous illustrations. It takes a healthy hike to reach the perimeter of this ancient city, but once you find the overgrown ruins of a Roman road and the foundation stones of an ancient city gate, it's impossible to forget what Jesus had to say. The city gates of Beit Shean have long been gone. The earthquakes and time have taken care of the great pillars that were once here, but the foundations are here. At least 3 out of the 4 foundations are here. This gate was a little wider than this starting point, but consider how wide this gate must have been. As people came into Beit Shean, they were given a grand entrance. This tall, massive gate was not for military purposes. It was just an architectural statement about how great this city was. You come inside, you're going to find more than you ever dreamed possible. Of course, a whole lot of that more was wrong. This was a city of great temptation. The rabbis would call it one of the examples of the far country. It had things to offer, frankly, that simply shouldn't be accepted. This was not a place a religious Jewish person would have gone. You know, there came a day when Jesus was teaching and he said, "Wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. Small is the gate, narrow the way that leads to life," he said. You know, I don't think the people who heard him say those words had any trouble envisioning a gate like this that led into one of the many cities of the Decapolis. And they understood what he was talking about. I just wonder if our generation, or to be honest, whether you and I can understand it enough to apply the teaching in our day. Because the gate is still wide, the way is still broad that leads to destruction. Temptation is a cruel invitation to disaster. Only a few find life, and the way they find it is by following Jesus. That means by knowing what he said to do and following the instructions. The way to destruction is wide. The way to life is narrow. It's Jesus only, my friend. Follow him and find life. I'm Andy Cook for the Christian Television Network.